All right, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a hot topic in the fishing industry. The rule changes in all the major formats of fishing. So yeah, I'm just kind of going to go through them one by one, and we'll talk it out. You'll hear Chad's thoughts, my thoughts, and we'll go from there. So,
disclaimer, I've really only been really fishing about a year and a half. So this is coming from someone who loved to fish, not super seriously like him. He's pretty serious about it. So you're getting kind of two different perspectives here.
you're definitely going to see two different perspectives. Do you watch fishing at all?
Not much, not really.
No, and I watch it a lot.
There's been a couple that I've watched, but no, not seriously like that.
Okay. So the first one I'm going to talk about is actually kind of comical to me. The National Professional Fishing League has banned the use of forward-facing sonar altogether. It is no longer allowed on their trail. So I'm going to give you, well, do you want to give your thoughts?
I've never even heard about it.
Exactly. Never even heard of it.
So what is that compared to like MLF and?
So I don't know. I've never.
Is it like an amateur league or is it a pro league?
Well, they got the word professional in it. I've never watched them. I think, personal opinion, I think that there's obviously a loud voice for forward-facing sonar and there's a loud voice against forward-facing sonar, and I believe that they're trying to make a name for themselves, so they're going to shake the boat, rock the boat a little bit, and ban it altogether. So I think for them as a business, it's probably a very smart thing to do. They'll probably attract the people that don't think that the technology should be used.
Yeah, I mean, with it being such a big thing in professional fishing nowadays, to go against that and completely ban it is kind of wild.
It is wild.
That's wild.
You've got Humminbird, you've got Garmin, you've got Lowrance, all making these, and yeah, they're not allowed. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how they're going to monitor that. I mean, you can tell what a forward-facing sonar transducer looks like, so I imagine that the directors are just going to inspect the boat and when they check their live wells and make sure everything's good, and that's that. So I think it's a smart business move for them. I don't even know if they're nationally televised or what the deal is, but they were the first ones to come out the gates, I think, with this, hey, we're banning this, and that is what it is. So
it's kind of crazy to think about, because you got to think that Humminbird and Lowrance, they're probably all sponsors.
You would think.
So I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how they kind of feel about that, and
yeah, I have no
I'm
idea.
sure they're not happy. I mean, they probably had to get the okay from them, unless they got dropped. I mean,
or
I don't
maybe
know.
they weren't sponsors at all. I mean,
true.
It's been around. I'm going to reference my phone. It's been around since 2021, so it's only been.
It's new.
It's newer.
Oh wow.
And like I said, I don't know much about it. There's like I know they do all the seasons. I checked that out. And there's been some names in there that of people that I've recognized from other leagues, I guess, if you will. But yeah, and it says there's a live broadcast here in 16 days and 15 hours. So, like I said, I think they're smart. I think they're gonna get a crowd of people, probably the fans that don't want to see it and don't want to see fishermen staring at their screens.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we'll move on from that. That is one thing for sure. Then we'll go to BASS, Bassmaster, and I am only speaking for the elites and only what I know. I am pulling up my phone to reference some of this stuff, but and I'll try to put something up on the screen with the new rule changes. But ultimately, I'm going to tell you what they did, and then I'm going to get your thoughts, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. So BASS, elites, and I don't know what else it applies to, but the elites for sure, they are limiting the number of trolling motors on a boat to 1. They are limiting the amount of usable screen space for the boat. Not a number of screens. You can have however many screens, but it's got to be, I believe, under 55 inches. And then number of forward-facing sonar transducers to 1, and it must be on the trolling motor. So those are, off the top of my head, those are the major changes. What are your thoughts on that?
So where were the other trolling motors? Where would people put them besides the one up front?
So they started putting trolling motors on the power poles.
Okay.
And then there'd be one on each power pole as a brake. And I'm not even sure how that worked, but it would be 21 feet further away from the fish if you come up on a spot too fast.
So if you're coming up and not turn and blow sand all up on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they limited it so you can only have 1 trolling motor. So I assume that's always going to be a bow-mounted trolling motor.
Yeah, I don't know why else. If you only have 1.
Right.
You're going to have the most control with it being up front.
Right.
I could see, not a huge deal. I can see how it can affect how some people fish if they're used to doing it like that. They can get up to the fish closer and not really disturb them. I don't think that's super big. So the transducer thing, people would have more than just 1 like you have.
Yeah. So they'd have,
So what, would they just have them off in different directions so you could see?
Ultimately, what I've seen is you've got a guy that'll have 1 in forward mode like this and 1 underneath it in perspective mode like this.
To the side of the boat.
Nope, in the same, you've got 2 transducers on the front. So you got them in different modes basically.
So you're seeing them head on and from above almost.
You're seeing 2 different views. So if you got 2 different graphs, you could have 1 in perspective mode, 1 in forward mode, and you could see that at the same time. Now, with that said, they also started putting them on the back and shooting them out both sides. So you could technically see a guy putting 4 live transducers on their boat. Instead of side scan, they'd put a transducer out this way, a transducer out this way on the back of the boat, and then 1 in forward and 1 in perspective. So technically, I'm sure I don't know the number of people that have done that, but they've limited that to 1 on the
I think that's going to be pretty big for, however many people are using multiple live transducers.
Right.
If you're used to seeing everything live all around your boat and now you only got 1 thing to look at, that's going to be a little bit of a game changer probably.
I'm sure it's going to ruffle some feathers.
Big, yeah.
And then the last thing was the screen size.
Yes and no. If you have a 30-inch screen that you're looking at, I'm sure it's a lot easier to see. But they didn't say how big you could go, just how many inches total.
Total, yep.
Because, they usually have probably 2 on the console, which those can be pretty small, 2, 3. 4. It started getting crazy. They'd have 4 on the front and 4 in the console and 4 up front. I think it'll just be more of an adjustment thing for them, being used to seeing something bigger and then it's a little smaller, and gonna be probably a second for them to get how they want it all set up right. I don't think that's gonna be as big as the multiple live transducers go. I think that's the biggest thing, because like I said, if you're used to seeing live pretty much 360 around your boat and you have 1 angle now basically, there's probably going to be a lot less limits as fast, because you're not going to be seeing as many fish probably.
Nah, I don't know if it's even going to affect all that as much.
What do you think it would affect the most?
So I honestly, I love what Bass did. I think what they did is perfect. I think it was getting dangerous with like just where was it going to stop? And I feel like, and all of this is always subject to change. They could change next year. They could change next week. But there was guys getting two 22-inch screens at the front of their boat.
That's huge.
That's like ridiculous. That's like my TV in my bedroom. I mean, it's ridiculous. So that's 44 inches of screen, which means you can only have what 11 inches in the at the console. Which, so on my boat I have a 12, which is ridiculously
It's
big.
pretty big.
It's plenty big enough.
I mean,
and then
you
a
go
10.
To Chad's, though. What's Chad's, like 15 or 16?
I think he's got 15.
That looks huge too. Though.
It is. So I don't think you need a 22-inch screen. I truly do not.
No.
I think the screens, I just like that they limited it. I think I didn't see there was going to be no end in sight,
Screen
basically.
size,
Yeah, it was just going to keep growing and growing and growing. The number of transducers, I think that's good. I think you still, and I don't think it's going to affect, to your point, I think, yeah, you could see all around the boat, but you can only look at, I mean, those guys are
Depending
good.
how many
They're
screens
looking,
they
yeah,
have
if you
and-
got, right. So it's going to, I don't think it's going to change. I don't think it's going to change too much as far as, like, you've got your really good scopers, if you will. They're going to continue to do that. What I do like is, my brother-in-law put it out there that didn't everybody have the opportunity to do that? Yes, everybody did have the opportunity to put brakes on there and 22-inch screens, but not everybody was doing it. So I think just having a more standardized, this is what we're doing, guys, this is where we're drawing the lines, then you still have some wiggle room in there. The one thing, and we'll talk about it in the next one, in the next little section here, but there's one thing that is kind of confusing to me, and I'm not sure of the rules, but the 360 transducer. So I don't know if they're considering that a live transducer with BASS or not, but in MLF they are, and we'll talk about that here in a second.
Okay.
So that's what BASS was doing. I really personally like it just by, here's where our limits are. This is what we should be doing.
So say if Bass isn't doing what MLF is doing, what would that mean?
Say that
they
again?
could have a 360 transducer and a live transducer if they're not counting it?
Correct. Potentially. That's what I've got on
Okay.
mine is both.
Right.
And I don't consider the 360
I
a
think that's like a
live.
standard, right?
No, it's definitely not. It's a, I mean, you can still see forward. It's shooting. It's doing
I
this.
mean, having
and
both on there, that's pretty standard
for the
people who use live scope, right?
yes and no. The thing with the 360 is only Humminbird makes the 360.
Oh, I didn't know.
So
that was
if you're
specific to
sponsored by
brand.
Lowrance or
You don't
sponsored
have
by
that.
Garmin, you're probably not going to have that on your boat.
Oh, I didn't know Humminbird was the only ones with that.
Right. So that's
Okay.
interesting. I don't know if they're counting them both as forward or not. But the MLF is, and the MLF has changed their rules, which they tend to do every 10 minutes. It seems like they're constantly doing something new. But they listen to the viewer, they listen to the pros, and then they kind of make their best decision from there. So with all the controversy, MLF, which you know how that works, they got 3 periods.
Okay.
Period 1 is, most of the time I think they're like 2-hour periods.
And then
or
what?
something
It's like a 30-minute break or whatever.
for like 15-minute break, and then they
Okay,
lines in
okay.
again. So there's 3 of those.
Now, is it still what, 3 days or?
No, it's all, well, they do knockout rounds and then elimination rounds, and basically you gotta,
It dwindles down all until the last day, right?
yeah. So it's like a week-long event though.
It's that long. I thought it was
yeah.
like maybe Thursday to Sunday or Friday to Sunday.
Sometimes it's 4 or 5 days. They can do so many
Okay.
different things, but their basic thing is you got a group A and a group B. They go out and they
Like A first and then B goes
Yeah.
out later in the day? Or do they both go out at
no,
the same
group
time?
A fishes against just group A, then group B fishes against just group B.
Oh, so
The
it's like
best
a
of each.
bracket system
Yeah.
almost. Okay.
That's kind of how they
Okay.
do it. And then, But they have 3 periods in each day.
Gotcha.
Okay, so like 6 hours of fishing. And what they are doing is they are only allowing live forward-facing sonar one of the 3 periods, and it needs to be declared before that period starts. And it will be, for the viewer, you'll be able to see that they're using it or not using it.
So the fisherman chooses when they want to use it.
Yep.
That's different too.
Mm-hmm.
That's like more mind game, playing chess kind of. Like, how confident are you
Right.
to not use it, or you have to use it to get to the next round, but then what's that round going to hold? Like, that's going to be more planning out your fishing day, really.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot more prep into that kind of rule set, I think.
And me personally, I think I like it. I like it, and these guys are good. So what I feel like we're going to find, and this is just preliminary guesswork, I feel like what you're going to find is you're going to find the majority of guys are going to use it that first period. They're going to figure out where the fish are. I do. I feel like they're going to figure out where the fish are.
And then just remember the spots.
Then you're going to have the spot, right? You're going to mark your spots, and then you know how deep they are, and then you got two periods. You can roll a swim bait at that depth or jerk bait. Now, it's going to be more difficult without using forward-facing sonar for them.
But they're going to have a
good.
general idea.
They're going to have an idea of, and those fish will eventually shut down. And I mean, before forward-facing, they did this stuff.
Fish switching up within 6 hours though, and shooting shallow or.
Oh no!
Like,
but
they'll moving far off the spots that they do find them on, right?
But they will move. And
a little bit, but
yeah.
I mean, they're going to be in the general area probably. I would imagine. I mean, I don't know.
The interesting part, they'll still be in the general vicinity. But the interesting part then is you either got to find them with your side scan or your 2D, and then you're running over the top of them, and now you've already taken the first period potentially and
scooped up 4 of their friends.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm just afraid that it's going to be one of those things. Those guys are going to figure out this is the best strategy for it. Once one guy wins like that, every tournament will be like that. And I just feel like it's going to be that first period. Potentially there could be a lot of strategy involved, but yeah. I don't know if we'll see that or not. I don't think we will, but
I wonder
we'll see.
if it'll turn to more shallow fishing.
Flipping a jig into bushes and
skipping docks,
running buzz baits down. Yeah, I mean, that's traditional. That's what.
It is going to go more traditional.
And that's what a lot of viewers wanted to see, right? They did not want to see for everybody staring down at forward-facing sonar. Oh, it's so easy to catch a fish.
Which it's not.
It's not. I got a video out. I'll link the video at the end of this of how. Sometimes forward-facing sonar is nothing more than frustrating because there's fish there and you spend too much time fishing
You're there
for
an
them.
hour and a half, throwing them right in front of their face, knocking them down their nose.
So 17 different lures, 17 different ways.
They just don't want it.
So it will be an interesting 2025. I'm excited to see all of it.
So is all this not going into effect till next season, I'm guessing, probably?
Correct.
So the rest of this season is...
This is the off season. I think...
are they done?
For the most part, yeah. I think
See, I don't know, guys. I don't watch it.
I think some of the stuff starts back up now. I mean, there's still opens and stuff going on. Okay. I'm talking...
Like the actual
the main stuff, yeah. The elites and the MLF guys, they're pretty much done. In the spring, they'll do... I think they do Red Crest and they'll do the Classic, obviously, in the spring. I want to say something starts as early as January down in Florida. I'm not sure, but it will be fun to watch. Yeah, we'll see if this starts trickling down to smaller stuff like ours, like our Cash for Bass tournaments. If anybody's gonna, I mean, this stuff has been out for 3-4 years now and nobody's said anything. It is what it is, right? But there's definitely a great divide when it comes to this conversation. Either you're for or against. I love fishing regardless. I love pitching a jig under a dock. I love looking at the forward-facing sonar. I don't care. I just want to catch fish, so I'm good either way.
Yeah, I don't think it would really matter. For where we're fishing at, I mean, really any lake around here where we're fishing, you can catch them either way.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can. That's been proven. But thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. If you get time, hit like, hit subscribe. If you haven't already, hit the notification bell.
tell a friend.
Tell a friend, share a video. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.